Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Broyans Farm. We'll see what Jill's baking in here. Are these blueberry pies?
They are blueberry crumb.
There's blueberry crumb with the fresh blueberries that we just picked from.
And these are a crustless blueberry pie.
Well, they both look delicious.
Yeah, they're from the
local blueberry farm. Bunch of muffins. Still never tried the pistachio. We have a squirrel that comes every single night or morning, whatever it is, and chews into our bags. It's so annoying. We caught we caught one chipmunk and one squirrel so far already. And we have our trap set over here, but he doesn't care about this at all. It's like he's too smart for him now. He just comes right to the bags and chews a hole right in them, which is a big pain because then we got to take tape and patch it up. That way the customers will buy it and not just let it sit there forever. I just got back here to the farm, working on the irrigation for the strawberries again. Now in my previous video, I was showing you how I was setting up. I only got about a quarter of the way done, then I had to quit, got late. But I want to change some stuff around. I had some new ideas and I screwed a couple things up. Before I had my sand filters, I knew I needed to use them, but I had them sitting over there, and I guess because they weren't right in my side of view, I totally forgot about them, and I ran my pipe right out straight through the plastic, and I was gonna start watering that way. But then I remembered, obviously, I have to filter all the water coming through or it's gonna clog up my drip lines. So I got my sand filters now in place, was working on getting them ready because they were sitting out for a while, and one of the T's busted, and so now I had to just call Rainflow Irrigation and get them to make me a new one because it has a pressure gauge like this right here in the T, and obviously I don't want to have to thread that myself and risk not doing it right and then it exploding when it gets a lot of pressure going through it. So they're making me that. I'm going to then run this blue line right into the sand filters, then there'll be an outlet where it comes out, and this blue line will hook back up to it again, and then we can start irrigating. Sammy and Frank headed out to the blueberry patch again. Ran out of blueberries very fast, so they're gonna pick a ton, or at least as many as they can until the strawberries get here, which I gotta call Norse Farms here within the next hour and see where they're located, because strawberries have to be refrigerated from the time they leave, or they should be refrigerated from the time they leave the farm to the time they get here, and they should be stored here on the farm until we get them planted. But they're not put on a reefer truck. They just take them out of their coolers and pack them with some kind of bubble wrap that is made to keep all that coolness in. So I want to get them off the truck immediately and start planting. I don't think we'll get them all planted today. That would be absolutely crazy, but I have a ton of family and friends coming. I think about 10 of us all together, and hopefully we can get that all done. I just seen a glimpse of Dad somewhere out there. He's spraying, and I think Mom is down here in the high tunnel picking tomatoes, which will be the first time I've actually physically seen a red tomato getting picked, so I'm kind of excited. She's here, and I can see some red tomatoes in the back. I think she's already got a box full. 2 boxes full. There's box number 1, which is kind of like pinks, we call them, half green, half orange, which they're gonna ripen. And there's some nice red ones here. And then back here is kind of the same thing. So I just asked her why she's picking them kind of orange like that, and I forgot tomorrow is the first day of Wilkes-Barre Market, and so if we don't pick them now, it's gonna be another week until we get them picked. So she's basically picking anything that has any kind of color.
And they'll be redder tomorrow.
Yeah, they'll be ripening as they sit there.
Look how beautiful.
Wow.
Look at that tomato.
We're basically cleaning them as fast as they ripen. There's a couple nice ones here I see. That's a beauty, the one I just showed you. That's another beauty. It's a shame it's not more red, but it'll get there. And these are just some nice little ones. I did just see a very nice cluster over here. Right now they're probably averaging about 1 or 2 ripe ones on one plant, but I thought I seen, yeah, right here. That's beautiful. And then on this side, it's another cluster of nice ones. A couple more there, one there. Out here in our early season veggie patch, this is our beans, which have gotten so big now you almost can't even see the separation between the 2 rows. We have our cauliflower, which I'm not seeing any heads yet. Cabbage is making head, but still not ready to pick yet. Then we have our Savoy. Over here is our broccoli, which Mom and Dad have been picking this about every other day. We're gonna pick a lot tomorrow morning for the Wilkes-Barre market again. And you can see it all here. Beautiful. So that'll be exciting. Peas, I am starting to see now the pods, but definitely not big enough yet for harvest. And like I said before, we only have a little patch here, but they're doing very well. And then over here is our pickles and cukes and zooks. I told you about that little problem we had with the leaves all brown and everything, but they're coming out of it slow but sure, which is a good thing. At least they're not getting any worse. I see some baby little pickles on there, quite a few actually, but nothing even close again to harvest. And then down here is the Lebanese squash, or Gouda we call it, yellow zucchini and green zucchini. But before we get there, I'll show you the kohlrabi. Now, if you've been watching my videos, you'll know I was picking this about a quarter of the size. You can see how huge it is now. The flavor though doesn't, you know, get washed out of it because they're so big, and it doesn't taste woody. We've tried them. We've had other people try them. They say the same flavor is still there. It's kind of just more bang for your buck, so that's a good thing. But we have a ton out here. That's why it's good we're going to market, because we can sell a lot of these and they need to go. I don't think there's gonna be much on the Lebanese here because Mom and Frank just picked them. But I'll see if I can show you a small one. Right there's one. Right there's another one. That one right there is just about ready to be picked. People don't like when they get like to the size of a zucchini. Then over here we have our red beets, which I gotta talk to Dad and see if we can cultivate these one more time. He might say no because they're getting pretty big now, but you can just see all of the weeds coming up here, and that's horrible to see. So I don't know what he'll say about that, but I'd love to get rid of them, or at least try and get rid of them. Red beets aren't even really close to ready yet. I see some bigger ones, but not enough to make it worth trying to pick them. So that's basically what everything's looking like right now. Everything's looking very promising, which is good. Scranton market starts next Wednesday. Today's Wednesday, so that'd be a week from today. And so I think once that starts, or actually the day or two before that starts, we'll be able to harvest a lot of this stuff. I think the red beets will be ready. We might even get some cauliflower. I think cabbage will be just borderline by then. So we should have a ton of stuff for the first day of Scranton. And maybe possibly, which I don't think is gonna happen, we'll have some sweet corn, but that again is still pretty small. So I've set up header lines on ends before, and it's very simple because, you know, you have your header line and then you just put one hole on one side in multiple locations, and then you just run straight out. But this is a little bit different because now I've got one header line, but two different fittings in each one going two separate directions. And so I'm just getting it figured out so that I don't have to cut bigger holes in the plastic than what I need to, because a bigger hole means more weeds. So that was my first one. That was the worst one. I've done two after that and it's gotten better. And I'll show you now that I have a good idea of how to do it. And hopefully this one goes well too. I know that my drip tape is running somewhere in the center of this plastic, which I would assume is somewhere close to this. And I don't want to put my hole right next to the drip tape, or right next to the header line, because when I put my fitting in right here, then it's gonna be too close. Actually, it goes this way. And so I want to make my first hole somewhere out here. That way my drip tape has enough room to come up, out, and then go into my fitting. So I'm gonna say somewhere right here. And we made the drip tape fairly deep, just so that mice don't get after it as much, hopefully. There, I can feel the drip tape. And then I'll kind of just wiggle it up and down until I loosen it up underneath there a little bit. And then what I'll do is bring it to the surface as much as possible. And I will cut that then, if I can. Okay, so there's that. Now, I've got my end. I know where it's gonna be located, and so I can make my hole now in my header line. So I'm gonna say about right here. Looks good. Oh boy. That was a little bit further down than I would have liked it, but nothing I can do about it now. So put that in there, and I'll tighten that collar up. That just makes a better seal so there's no leakage between the header line and this fitting. Hopefully that's okay. And then I can take my drip tape now. I like to get my finger in there just to open it up a little bit. It goes on the fitting better. Slip that on there. And then tighten that collar down as tight as possible. Just like that. So that's done. The only thing I screwed up on was it was down over the edge of there a little bit. My hole ideally should be right in that crease. So I was missing some parts for my irrigation. I came down here and I seen Sammy and Frank came to the garlic. Let me see them quick, Sammy. They started cleaning the field. So this is what field run garlic is gonna look like this year. That's a monster head. That's more of a smaller, but
that's like the smallest.
For the most part, they're very, very nice. It's not gonna be long, we're gonna be harvesting the whole field. So they were just pulling these out by hand. With it being nice and wet, they pull out nice. But when we do the whole field, we'll bring a digger in and we'll dig them out. That way it makes them even easier to pull out. We got started planting strawberries. We've been doing it for about an hour now. It's been going pretty good. Started out with myself, Sammy, Frank, then my mom showed up, then Sydney showed up. Now Sammy just left, and now Dad came out, and obviously I'm out here too. And we still have about 4 or 5 other people coming, but it does look a little bit stormy, so we'll see what happens. We have 11 rows all together. We're working on 2 right now. These are both AC Valley Sunset, double planted. We stagger them like here, 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 here. And I'll show you how everything works once I get out here. Obviously, we are hitting rocks. Some spots are rockier than others. The biggest thing that I'm making sure to tell everybody is that not only do we want to make sure the roots are straight, planted all the way down, up to the crown, but tuck them in a little bit too, because if you just poke them in and keep moving, you have a big air pocket, then the roots dry out and they die. So this used to be a wheel to measure distance, had a little meter on here, but we took that off and drilled holes and actually cut off nails and put little nails in there at a certain distance, so that way we have our perfect spacing between each strawberry plant. It's starting to rain now. We're over 3/4 of the way, I think, or just about, or exactly 3/4 of the way through the field. It's going really well. We got a good group of people out here now. Basically all family besides 2 of my buddies and obviously Frank. Frank's had to go close his windows. So it's mom, dad, my brother Colton, his wife Sydney, my cousin Tim, Ben has made his return, and Trevor. So the plants come in these boxes. I don't know how many comes in a bundle, but this is what they look like. This is only like half a bundle. Just a little bit of a top and the rest is roots. Then it gets soaked in oxidate water mixture for 8 minutes. We'll cut the roots off to a certain point. That way it's easier to plant them in because the roots are just way too long. And then that's when they get dropped on the plastic, where all of us will go through and plant them. Yeah, now look what
There's a big rock.
That's a good example of what happens when you hit a rock. Seems like Sydney hit a rock too.
Yeah.
So we just finished up planning for today. 2 rows, I think 2,240 plants in each row. So and actually we came back the 3rd row, just a hair. So about 4,500 plants altogether. We have 12,000 to plant in these 3, and then 2 more, which is 5, and then a little more of the 6th row, which is only like 480 plants. And I only know this all because I laid out the field about 3 or 4 days ago, so that way I could call the order in. With that being said, I'm gonna call it a wrap for this video. As always, thank you guys for watching, and always remember it ain't much, but it's honest work.